This is your boy, Lord Thaddeus Cray. This is something that was requested, and that's what I'm going to do. To call it a cryptid, I don't really know. I would definitely call it an entity, to say the least. I'm talking about the Boggart, or Boggart, or however the hell it's pronounced. I'm just going to call it Boggart because I'm kind of a good old boy who loves to ruin how things are pronounced. Leave it at that. But anyway, I'm going to get to the point. What the hell is a Boggart? It's a household spirit, or possibly even a household creature. There are stories of these things definitely being manifested into flesh. This thing is very interesting, to say the least. It is connected to people's homes. Sometimes it could be connected to the estate, or maybe even the bloodline of the family. Curses, things like that. There are many names that are kind of connected to it. The bogeyman, boogeyman, the bugaboo. Of course, here in the South, bugaboo is another name for being a pest. But it's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought it just meant being a bug, just being a nosy bastard or someone who's clingy. No, it's connected to the original term, the Boggart, which is very interesting to say the least. Like I said, this thing has all kinds of descriptions. Supposedly, it can take different forms. Sometimes little people. I'm not talking about folks who have dwarfism or anything like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about legitimate little people. I'm talking about supernatural here. The term little people. Of course, you guys already know. The indigenous people here in this country, Native Americans. They have all kinds of stories connected with them damn things. The Boggart seems to almost have that kind of connection, supposedly. The old term brownies, for example. Supposedly, if you offend this thing, it can take very malevolent appearances and just really it can be a real problem, to say the least. Think of something that ain't friendly. And if you find out its true name, it ain't happy about that. And believe me, you'll have a real problem then. Because you have to understand something. There's power in the true name. In one's true soul's name, number one. Number two, I can understand if something like that found out and is like, oh, you know who or what I truly go by, we're going to have a problem. And I can understand why I feel threatened. And such to say, you have a real situation on your hands. Yeah, supposedly these things like I said, they inhabit your home. I think they're tied to bloodlines in a lot of cases. They're definitely old world. My God, they're definitely old world. There's no doubt about that. There ain't nothing new about under the sun with these guys. They are fairly powerful physically, and some are also described with having very powerful magical talent, which is something else which is kind of frightening if you want to be honest with God's truth. But like I said, they're connected to the family's homestead. There are many old English tales I remember of this, basically where different pagan tribes back in the day, what they would do is they would definitely pay homage to where they lived. They'd be like the gods are in the ground. And I can kind of understand where they're going with this, because it may have been the case with what they were worshiping. Supposedly, these creatures literally, their connections are not just with the home, they can be connections with under the home, the soil. Supposedly, children have also had problems with these things. Maybe they're playful or not so playful, if you get my drift, and become outright malevolent. They like to share a bed with a person, hang out in someone's closet, under the bed, sometimes even your toilet. I'm just saying, these things are not something I would want to deal with. Leave it at that. I definitely believe firmly when I was living in Houston, the home that I was living at was connected to, I'm not going to say Bogarts were around. I don't really think that was the case. I think that was connected to the spirits of people that had died there. And also, you got to remember, it was near a railroad, too. So I don't think that was the same thing. Because also, you have to understand, I was dealing with shadow men and shit like that. Nothing like this. But they have been known, like I said, to be tied to just different situations. But mainly it is around a person's property. Generational. And also, these things don't like... There's also been, I've heard of stories of people trying to drive these things out. And usually it doesn't go too well. Some families, I've heard, have actually made peace with these things, and they seem to actually get along well with the entity in the house. It's a real complex and real crazy situation, to say the least, when it comes to these creatures. I think there's different origins for each individual. I definitely believe that Boggart is almost like a. I'm not gonna say it's a carpet term. You know, like a well, not a carpet term. The best way would be like a covering term for different entities. But I think to a degree it is. But I also believe, of course, that spirits out there, and even the fallen nature, what do they like to do to people? They like to trick you. So I definitely believe it could be that too. But I do know they're old world beings that have been around probably since the the beginning. If you know what I'm talking about. As I said, they can appear as different things. Sometimes they've appeared as what are known as brownies. Like basically small people. Sometimes long-armed humanoid creatures that are physically very strong, very dangerous in their own right. And sometimes it seems that many times they just want to be left alone. And I can respect that too. But it seems that they almost, because of the trouble that they seem to cause, they seem to delight in causing mischief and different kinds of negative interactions. So I definitely am not going to put this in the positive category of spirits or entities or whatever the hell these things are. It's something that I would want to be leaving alone and definitely would not be tinkering with. If you know where I'm going with this, I'm just going to leave it at that. I figured this was a very interesting topic to cover. It's not really my usual fare, but I figured it might be a good thing to try out. You guys know what I do. I am the producer for Dark Waters Entertainment. If you've had any kind of experience or encounter out there of cryptid, supernatural, hit me up, and I'll make sure you have the chance to tell your story. My email is wesvick at iamdarkwaters.com. WESVSEK at iamdarkwaters.com. You guys be blessed and you be safe.